Hello and welcome to Animated Wonders, an Explosion Network podcast where we celebrate animation in all of its forms. This is Animated Wonders. In this season, we'll be discussing older films in the Despicable Me and Minions franchise. Hello, my name is Blight, and joining me to discuss this week's Animated Wonder is Ashley Hobley.
Hey Dylan, excited to be here as fellow supervillains.
Well, I won't say no. This week's movie is Despicable Me. It was released in 2010 from the United States, directed by Chris Renaud, Pierre Coffin, and written by Cinco Paul, Ken Dario, and Sergio Pablos. Comes from, of course, Illumination Entertainment and Universal Pictures. Cast was Steve Carell, Jason Segel, Russell Brand, Kristen Wiig, Julia Andrews, Will Arnett, Miranda Cosgrove. Synopsis: Gru, a criminal mastermind, adopts 3 orphans as pawns to carry out the biggest heist in history. His life takes an unexpected turn when the little girls see the evildoer as their potential father. How many Despicable Me / Minions movies have you watched? Have you watched them all?
I think I've watched. I feel like I've watched. Well, I've seen the first 2 Despicable Me movies, and then I've watched 2 Minions movies. So what? 4 out of 5? No, 4 out of 6.
4 or 6. I think
I can remember.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the same. I strongly remember the first 2. And then after that, I can't remember if the other ones I've watched are Minions or Despicable Me movies. And I will find out as we go along. But first 2, 100% yes. After that, I'm winging it. I'm pressing play going, oh yeah, I remember this. Or, nah, I haven't seen this one. What are your overall thoughts on, Despicable Me, the original one we're watching today?
It's fine. Like, it's good for a kid's film, but I mean, probably on this rewatch, it's pretty bare bones. Other than I think a lot of the creativity went into, obviously the Minions, who are an iconic creation, and like the basic concept of Gru and his supervillainy. But outside of that, is not a lot that's super fleshed out. So, which probably bodes well for the franchise, really, because there's a lot of room for it to grow. Because there's not a lot of meat on the bone of this one.
No, and it's still going. So it didn't die.
They grew the meat around the bone.
Yeah, there we go.
This analogy
grew. Got him. Yeah, I was very much like that was fine. It doesn't have just. Sort of, it did seem older, even like I don't know. Just like as far as animations, I'm like 2010. It seems like it just, yeah. I was like the key moments when they're happening and stuff, but yeah. It's just so perfectly. You're like, that seemed funner in my memory from the first time I watched it rather than rewatch. But I don't think I've watched any of these movies. No, I don't think. I know. Yeah, I've not watched any of them outside of the first time. So every whatever one we go through here on this series will be my second time, and yeah, maybe it is at least the first one so far set me up as a hey, this isn't as fun the second time around when you sort of know what's happening. But core themes for the movie, I think, is pretty obvious. It's just like found family. So it's the I guess the main one. The whole movie, the storyline is literally an evil villain who becomes good through the power of his adopting these 3 little girls.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's anything that goes much deeper than that, but I do agree. Like, similar, it's a very like young kids focused film. And even on like other stuff we've sort of already talked about on this podcast with Toy Story, I don't think it has as much multi-layeredness to what's happening there. It's very much presented as is. So sort of it's hard to dig too much deeper than that. But I mean, the found family stuff it's nice, even if just surface level.
Well, I think
guess.
maybe the deepest thing you could read into it is that Gru was constantly trying to get his mother's approval. Like, obviously, there's that sequence where he's like showing all these supervillainy things that he's trying to show his mum, and then the only time she actually shows him love or compliments him is when he's a good father. So,
Yeah.
okay, like people aren't going to care about your personal achievements. It's like what you do with your family or meaning of life and all that kind of stuff. Or again, it's weird. I feel like this franchise is like weirdly the messages are like for all the adults in the room, and then just because all the kiddie stuff is like the dumb Minion stuff, it's like they'll be captured by all this, and all the like the meaning of this movie probably wouldn't matter much to a kid.
No.
Found family. My mum and dad here said 70% of the kids watch it.
Yeah. I don't know. You always wonder sometimes, like, is there anyone out there watching this who, I guess,
Just taking
maybe they were adopted or were they adopted? Would it affect them more? Would there be an bigger emotional hit?
Are they
from
super
this
hopeful like Agnes? Yes.
Yeah. Than the rest. Yeah, but I guess the thing with his mother does make sense. I mean, Gru fires off freaking a rocket ship in the sky at some point there, and she's still not impressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then she purposely rings her son at the start of the film, and then assumes that the big thing that she's heard about on the news isn't even him. So
yeah,
stealing the pyramid. So, cultural context. I just put down Minions. I mean, let's just get the. I don't know if there's a better, more recent example of a animated creation that has as big of a cultural hit as that Minions are. People love to hate. What's your?
I would say the order of things goes: Mickey Mouse, Bugs Bunny, Toy Story, Pokemon, or Pikachu specifically. Jump forward now, Minions. The most recent thing, Bluey.
Boy?
Yeah.
I thought you was going to say the Glizzard Lizard, but...
No. Not yet. The movie hasn't come out.
Yeah, I think Minions...
recording.
At time of recording, yeah. Fucking you're dating it again. The Minions, huge. People who don't even know, couldn't tell you what they're from.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be like, oh, they're from Despicable Me. They know they're called Minions. They spawn their own spin-off franchise, of course, that we'll get to. They're also become the Illumination managers do that thing where they have such a success that the Minions just become their logo. They're their little side characters.
Illumination, they put
yeah. I can't think of it. You see Minions toys everywhere. I mean, this is 15 years later, there's still like Minions. Consistently, we'll see Minions toys and merch no matter what, even if there hasn't been a Minions or Despicable Me movie released in the year that you're potentially walking down a Target or Kmart or something like that. There's always Minions stuff somewhere, Minions toys and stuff. It
gets referenced in other stuff. That's how you know you made it. Like people use Minions as a pop culture reference in other things. Like I dressed up as a Minion for Halloween and that kind of stuff. You know?
What is it about them that made them such a? What is the secret sauce to the Minions?
That is a very good question. I think it's just the zany cartooniness of them. I guess they're the closest thing to a Looney Tunes-esque character that we've had in a long time, because they do all that slapstick comedy that real people can't do, really.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of movies have leaned away from like straight out slapstick comedy. So this one definitely embraces that edict and idea. So I think that's it. There being so many, and then like just the ridiculousness of the language of the Minions and just the design, I think is pretty key. Simple but distinctive.
Yeah, I would say it's I think the simple design helps because that's what leads to all the merch and stuff. And
the little kids can draw it. It's super easy.
Yeah. then they did master somehow. The language is somehow perfect because they could be like, but in the context when you're listening to it, you know what they're saying, kind of like that's the thing that sort of makes the voice performance / language work. Or every now and then in one of the movies where they drop in one random word in their sentence that's English, and you're like suddenly have full context for whatever the hell they're talking about. But yeah, I think the slapstick comedy stuff is probably where the nail's hitting the head, because maybe it's a thing of like you can't have human characters do this because it could inspire children to follow, or you don't want to have too many. You don't want human characters doing certain things or something. But with these, they're just like, yeah, we can blow them up, we can set them on fire, we can whatever. Nothing. They're invincible. They last forever. Nothing can hurt them. They're idiotic little Looney Tunes characters, and yeah, I think that's sort of what probably is the magic source. Just there seems to be no rules on what minions are, cannot do, can do, how their physics work, how they're nothing. It's just
yeah, they're just I think the indestructible thing is crazy.
Banana.
Yeah, they just everything about them just works.
Yeah.
And I don't think this franchise works without the Minions. If the Minions hadn't blown up, we wouldn't have gotten Despicable Me 2. Then so on and so forth. So.
No. They're sort of like, if you think about this, like in this movie as well, they're sort of used the perfect amount that they don't. You get like you get one big sequence, and then every now and then they pop up, or especially the main three sort of pop up, but they definitely never steal a scene or anything. I think potentially as we go along through the movies, you can see they start wanting to play with the Minions more, which is probably why you end up with entire spin-off series dedicated, where they can just keep some of the funnier Minions jokes, rather than having them in the Despicable Me movies and having that overshadow the actual movie itself. But yeah, I would say who's this film made for? But I think we could sort of already agree this is sort of one where we're saying it's
definitely aimed at kids.
And again, it's not like all ages can watch it, but it does feel like it's kids. This is we want to make the kids laugh. We're less interested in if the adults even care to watch this one. This isn't a kids and adults can watch it and enjoy it just as much. Don't care if the adults hate this. Kids.
Yeah. I think it's tolerable for adults. I mean, we said it's fine, but I think on multiple replays, I think you would be okay with it continue to be replayed.
Wondrous elements for this film. Pick the 2 elements that stand out the most for you: animation, visual style, music and sound design, voice performances, world building, emotional impact.
It's got to be world building, like setting up the whole supervillain bank and all the minions and Gru's home and that kind of stuff. I think that's all really well done. And then it's got to be voice performances. Steve Carell with his Gru voice, fantastic. And then all the minions' voices. Even though the children, I think another. I don't know if it'll come up later, but like one of the key, like Minions, of course, a key thing that's taken away from this movie. But I'm so fluffy. It's so fluffy.
It's so fluffy. Yeah,
a GIF that's heard around the world. That keeps all the time.
Giving.
Yeah, it's like iconic, and that little kid, the original little girl, did a fantastic job. So this is my 2.
Yeah, I agree. Same ones. World building. It's the whole introduction of just how this weird world works, where people on the news and the supervillains are trying to do what that's just a normality thing. The pyramids have been stolen. Okay. Where this guy can just drive down the street in a massive big black car and turn everything to shit and live in this house with apparently 1,000 bloody minions at the bottom of it. And yeah, it's just an interesting little world that they deliver, and it's also the sort of world you can only really deliver and make work in animation, and that's sort of another thing about about this. It's like you picture any of this, it's like, let's try and do it live action. There's not a world in which this movie exists in live action. So, and yeah, voice performances. Steve Carell's groove voice, whatever. What do we? It's some Russian-like thing. Is that what sort of?
I have no idea what he's going for.
Yeah, I don't. But he goes for it.
Yep.
What's your favorite scene, sequence, or character from this one?
I kind of want to say the initial meeting Gru sequence where he's like the montage of him doing supervillainy things.
I'm a bad guy.
Despicable Me. Yeah.
Despicable Me.
Yeah, you know, him freezing everybody in the coffee shop, including the one guy who's just standing to the side and really did not need to get frozen. You know, that's fun. What about you?
I'm going to go with the scene when he's first adopting the kids and the minions are back at the base doing ridiculous things to his live CV or whatever the hell, where they're looking at his application letter and just it's like, and you've won a Nobel Peace Prize and all this sort of stuff. He's like, yeah, totally. And then the minions just begin fighting with each other and just nonsense happening on the computer.
Why would it be updating live? What did you do?
I don't know. It makes for a funny scene though.
Who's Jen?
Yeah, there's also a combination where the seat he's on is so ridiculously small for him. It sort of just plays into ridiculous of the whole thing.
Man, the whole orphanage is pretty. It's set up as a really dark place, including the box of shame, which is rough.
How I should point out before, especially as we head towards the end of this one, but before we get to the Despicable Me 2, it's interesting. Kristen Wiig does the voice of the that lady. The
second one.
No, well, she voices that lady in this one. That the
does she?
The what do you call that person?
I know the orphan.
The orphan keeper. Yeah.
Does she?
I think that's who it is. Confirmed.
It's not coming up on Wikipedia. Oh no, it is the orphan owner, Kristen Wiig.
There we go. So so she voices that, and then we get to Despicable Me 2, and they come back and just does a different character. Funny, but she's listed both, but completely different characters. But yeah. Place animation history for this one. I think it has one, not because it's a great film, but because it's the introduction of Minions.
Yeah, that's my thoughts exactly.
Yeah. And host of a great meme.
Yeah. Okay.
So for that, yes, it gets a place in our animation hall of fame, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll admit, there are some fun bits throughout this, like, when the girls come home to his place for the first time and you think the middle child gets stabbed with the spike sarcophagus, but it's just the juice box. Or the little detail that all their beds are outfitted bombs. Okay. I did enjoy the
water on the
whole
ground and some paper with a sign that says pee and poo poo.
PP and poo poo, yeah. But yeah, the whole plot about trying to steal the moon, it was fine. There are some fun visuals, including, obviously the moon, the idea that the string ray lasts less given the mass of the thing that gets stolen. So
science.
Also, that would have terrible ramifications for the world if the moon was both removed and then suddenly reappeared very much closer. Like, there's sections of here in Australia that are definitely gone.
Yep. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Animated Wonders. Let us know what you thought of the film on social media at explosionnetwork.com/follow. If you enjoyed the show, you can find more podcasts, reviews, and pop culture coverage over at explosionnetwork.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast and Explosion Network, head on over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Until the next episode, remember that animation is cinema.